We are thrilled to be with you today. And first of all, how are you doing just with everything? Because I know you run an online business and you have a family. And how are you doing through this?
Really good question. We're doing pretty well. Last week, Paul and I both got very, very sick. And was that last week? Time is like blurring together a little bit right now, not having like distinct days, but we got really,
Yes.
really sick. And we sent the kids away to grandma and grandpa's for a couple days because I was like, I mean, I slept for 36 hours straight, didn't even like hardly wake up to eat or anything.
Wow.
But we're doing good. I mean, we spend a lot of time at home anyways, and I'm sure you're familiar with that too, Kary,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
So
absolutely.
it doesn't feel that weird. I just, the biggest thing has been staying in touch with people online and letting everyone know, like, yes, we're social distancing, but we're not socially distant from each other, which is
So good.
Mm-hmm.
So good. So you, people look at you and say, oh my gosh, she's successful. This is normal for her. She doesn't struggle. I know people have all kinds of thoughts about online people, but there was a time when you were struggling, kind of as you were making yourself. Give people who've never heard your story kind of the backstory, because now, I mean, let me just read your bio. I mean, I kind of know it by heart, but I mean, you get 14 million views or more of traffic per month. I mean, you blew up on TikTok before it was popular. You run a social media agency.
Yep.
And you help, a lot of times these are single moms too. Not all the time, but some of your people.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've built several businesses over the last 4.5 years, and we've had a lot of success. But I think one of the craziest things is that my husband Paul and I actually run our businesses together now, which is really neat.
Really cool.
He's actually, most people don't know this about him, so this is like an inside scoop. He is a high school dropout. And
wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
A lot of people, I never knew that.
Yeah, I don't normally broadcast it, but recently he was okay with me sharing it now that he's successfully running the operations and finance in the backside of our business. So
that's even encouraging, because I know one of the self-limiting beliefs people have in the entrepreneurial space is that I don't have the credentials or I don't have the degrees. I think it was Russell Brunson who said that his results are his degree or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I found really interesting, so I went into marketing with no real experience. We're not quite there yet, but we'll go into my whole backstory because I think it really picks people up. But I went into marketing and I didn't have a degree, didn't have much experience. So I did a short stint in corporate. And when I jumped in, the gal who preceded me, she had like a double, like a double major. Yeah. In marketing and communications. And when I came in and started to dive into what she had accomplished in the 2 years before I came in, I was like, nothing moved. Like there was no needle moving. And I came in and I was there for about 6, maybe 7 months. And literally we moved the needle further than it had moved in years. And I was like, if I can do that as someone who is unqualified and, not on paper, not employable, this is going to challenge everything that I've ever known. So
it's so good. That is so good. I love it. It's like almost you didn't know any different to try and give it 100%. I think sometimes with success, we almost psych ourselves out and think we have to prove ourselves, but you had nothing to prove.
Yep. Especially at that point, because, there weren't a lot of eyeballs on me except for the company's team. And at the same time, I was like, I have a really strong feeling about where we need to go. And I listened to that gut feeling, which I also believe may have been the Holy Spirit, just where we're going to go. And I was like, let's do it. So.
Wow, that is so good. So right now I'm sharing this all out all over the place. In fact, I want to ask everyone else to share it too, because Rachel's going to share how she was a single mom on welfare. And I don't think people realize that. They think, oh, look at you, you got it all together. You got hair, you have makeup, all that stuff that I don't have. And you got this family, you work from home, it's 7 figures, but they forget how just like the coronavirus, it surprised everyone. You kind of woke up one day and were surprised at what you had become.
Oh my gosh.
And not in a positive way.
Yeah.
So can you share a little bit of that story?
Absolutely. So growing up, my parents were a pastor and a worship leader of
I
our.
did not know that
Did you
either.
not?
That
Oh
is
my God.
crazy.
So, I grew up in the public eye. Definitely, pastors' kids get put on stages a lot and put on platforms. And then, when I was 13, my parents, they stepped out of ministry and they started separating and getting back together over and over multiple times per year until I was 18 when they finally got a divorce. And so it left me just feeling super rocked about everything I had ever known and what stability looks like.
Sure.
And so I like that you shared one day I woke up and realized I didn't recognize who I was, not in a good way, because I started partying and going out and I didn't get into hardcore drugs or anything, but it didn't matter because it was so destructive for my life. And then at 20 years old, I'm a college dropout. I'm, serving and hosting at a restaurant. And suddenly I discover that I am about to become a mom.
Wow.
Let alone, I don't know how to tell my family. I don't know how to handle this. None of my friends were having kids. My friends were just starting to get married. And suddenly I'm the single mom. I'm the black sheep of everything. And I was like, this is not where I saw my life going. This is not okay. I don't know how I'm going to provide for this human. This is so scary. And so I decided I was going to go to school for hair. But in the meantime, I didn't know how I was going to make ends meet. The father was not going to pay child support. And I just knew that based on his track record with his other kids. I just knew that wasn't going to happen. And so I was like, how am I going to pay for diapers? Anyone who's ever been a parent knows it's expensive and it's a little bit scary. So I actually went to the welfare office and I said, I want to go to school for hair. And by the way, if anyone's like, oh, it is the hair, she's got amazing hair, it's because I went to school to be a hairstylist. So I got a very expensive education in how to do hair. But I was there and I said, I want to go to school for hair. And the gal said, if you go to school, we can't support you with welfare and food stamps. That's not something that we do. And I was sitting there and I'm like, so you mean to tell me I just have to sit here and not progress? There was something that felt so wrong about that. I was like, this is not where I'm going to go. And so I kind of got this little bit of a mischievous idea. And I said, but is anyone ever going to check if I'm at home or at school? And she said, no one's going to check. I'm not condoning lying, by the way, but you know what? Sometimes you have to do things to get out of situations. And for me, this was that. And I said, so no one's going to check? And she says, no one's going to check. And so I decided to go to school anyways. Meanwhile, a lot of times people think welfare and food stamps is a lot of money. It's not. Generally speaking, you make less than $400 per month for food, and that's all encompassing. That includes, formula, and less than $200 per month in cash. So imagine raising a child, not to mention going to school and trying to build a life for us on that. And I was like, this is scary. This is very scary. And so I went to blood plasma banks. I donated blood plasma twice a week to make sure that we paid for diapers, make sure that we paid for clothes, right? It was so crazy. So what's interesting is I still have the scars, and you probably can't see it from here, but anytime I go and
move it more in the middle.
See, here we go. You can't really see it.
Oh,
You're not gonna be able to see it, but because my skin's so fair. But there's I still have scars from giving blood plasma twice a week.
I did not know this. I mean, I knew it was bad, but when you have to sell your own blood plasma or whatever it's called, twice plasma, maybe it's just called plasma, but twice a week to pay for diapers and formula. Wow.
It was crazy. So I wanted to share a story from during this time because this was definitely a low point in my life. And, my family was not in a position to support. My parents from the divorce were going through a lot of hardship during this time. And I I wasn't going to ask for handouts. I wanted to figure something out myself. So I went to school for hair during this time on, thankfully, like grants and loans, and I qualified for those, which was great. But I wrote this journal entry, and this is my actual journal from when I was 21, when I was mom. Isn't that so cool?
It is so cool.
So I wrote this because literally this was a season that was so low. I didn't have money to sometimes even take the bus to school, and I didn't have a car. And so it was this really low point. We're sleeping in one room in a house, Dakota and I. But Friday, July 22nd, 2011, I wrote this journal entry. So are you guys ready for this?
Ready for it.
All right. Yesterday, I asked God to give me $6 for the bus, and he did. I had a client who tipped me $6 exactly. God is incredible. He is faithful. He is my portion and my strength. And the backstory of that journal entry is that I literally didn't know how I was going to pay for my bus home the day before. It was $3 each way. So I didn't know how I was going to get home from school or how I was going to get to school the next day. And so getting that $6 meant I had a ride home and I had a ride the next morning to school. So when I go back and read that, I'm like, this is crazy, you guys. Like, I didn't even know where the next day was coming from.
It's amazing.
Oh, so crazy. Now, is it okay if I share a little bit of like some of the things that supported me in the journey of growing into where we are now?
Do it. Okay. Go for it.
So one of the biggest things that I have kind of come up with since then is that even during these times, I mean, I wasn't always positive. I look through this journal and there are times where I'm like, God, please, like, I'm so broken and I don't know what to do. But at the same time, I realized that that struggle is a choice. Mm-hmm. Struggling is a choice. And we have the ability, especially those of us of faith, to say, you know what? This is like holding on to one end of a rope in a tug of war. And that is struggling. As soon as you let go of the other side of that rope, you're no longer struggling. You're going to decide to thrive no matter what's going on. And I know that some of you guys are like, but I don't know if I can make it. I don't know what this is going to look like. And I want to share an exercise that's been really helpful with me since I have been through worst case scenario in my life. And this is it's not really a game, but I'm going to go off on this because it's really important. It's called the worst case scenario game. And here's the thing. When we allow fear to build up in our heads, it can to spiral. And suddenly you're like, I'm so afraid. And you don't even know why. You haven't even verbalized what the fear is. And in your head, it's spiraling out of control. And so I built this game during this time of life called the worst case scenario game. And, you know, in my head, the worst case scenario would be like, I didn't even know what it was, but it was like, we're going to end up starving. We're going to end up homeless. We're going to end up on the side of the road. I don't know what's going to happen. And so I was like, okay, let's actually break this down. What does the worst case scenario look like? Okay.
Right.
Say we can't afford to pay for our house. Okay. Well, we can live out of a car or a tent. People do it, especially in San Diego. I'm not in San Diego, but people do it.
Sure.
Okay. So can we have some kind of shelter? Yes. Okay. That's a little bit encouraging. Okay. What if I can't afford diapers for Dakota or my kid? Okay. Truth be told, did people used to make it without diapers? Yes. Yes, they did. Okay. So I can wash her in the river or in, bathroom stops. Yes. Okay. So we can make sure that that's taken care of. Okay. So then what about clothes? Like, what if I don't have clothes? Can I probably get $5 from someone? Yes, probably. And if not, can I sell something that I have for $5? Yes. Okay. So then I can go to Goodwill or Once Upon a Child and get onesies for $1. Yes, I can. Okay. So we're going to have clothes. Everything's going to be fine. We're not going to be the best dressed. We're not going to be, New York Fashion Week, but okay, we're going to be dressed. All right. So let's keep on going with the worst case scenario. What if we can't afford food? A little bit scary, right? And these are the fears that go through our heads without us articulating them. And literally the anxiety is building up in our heads. Okay. if I cannot afford food, can I go down by the river and learn how to fish? You know what? Yes, I can. And you know what? I like seafood. So that would actually be pretty good eating, having a fish every day. Okay, so we've articulated the worst case scenario. Can we make it through that? And if the answer is yes, you still have a fighting chance. And if you learn to turn to belief, to faith, to positivity, choosing to thrive, and ultimately becoming resourceful, that's key, is being very resourceful, you can make it through anything.
Wow.
Whew.
That is amazing. And I'll tell you what, I mean, there's people who are identifying right now. Like April was domestically abused, and that's part of her story in her book. And Lavina, who's brand new. In fact, people would be shocked right now because Lavina's publicly at the other end of the journey where you kind of were.
Yeah.
She just upgraded to $97 for this conference.
Wow.
And she was down to 187 in her checking. And she just told the VIP group, like, this is it. Like, this is my last chance that I have.
Wow.
And what would you tell Lavina? Because I know the Rachel now, who's exploding with success, has invested $25,000 in a mastermind, as I have as well, to get to the next level. Like, you are someone who's always investing in yourself.
All the time. Well, I will say that investing into yourself doesn't have to be 25,000. And it's especially talking about like my past, it's a lot easier for us to go back to that and talk about what investing in yourself looks like.
It could be like a book, right?
You got it. That's exactly what I was going to say. So back in the day when I barely had any money, I would actually go to Goodwill, and Goodwill would have different color tags on sale on different.
Oh, I know.
And most people don't know this. If you donate something, you get 25% off coupons.
Oh.
So you can get the special tag on sale, and you can get 25% off. And I would scour the book sections and look for books about business and about belief and mindset and growth. And so I would literally come home with a stack of 11 books, and maybe they each cost 10 cents or 15 cents. In fact, they even have some days in the book sections where it's 10 books for $1. So I would scour those sections because I was like, listen, something needs to change, and it has to happen from, I think, within, and I have to learn. So, one thing I want to share, and this was really helpful for me, even now on a bigger scale in my business, if you keep going, you do not lose. And there are a few amazing examples of this, but one that really stuck out to me recently was Chip and Joanna Gaines' book, The Magnolia Story. Okay. And throughout the book, it's a fascinating read. I recommend it for anyone who's ever felt like they're facing hardship. They break down all of the hardships that they've been through and how every single time it looked like everything was going to fall apart. And then what they did is they just kept going. And as long as you don't give up, you can't lose, right? Especially if other people give up or stop trying. Can you outlast someone? Do you have to be the most talented? No. But if you keep going when everyone else says, there's no way, it's not going to happen, you will never lose. And this is really helpful for anyone who is like, oh, I have time right now. Self-Made on Netflix. They break down, this movie is Self-Made, the story of Madame C.J. Walker. And basically, she's got all of these things that happen. Like in one scene, I don't want to spoil anything, but like her building burns down and everything that can go wrong goes wrong. But she never gives up. And any biography of successful people, by the way, every single person, this is really helpful, biographies are commonly on sale at Goodwill because people donate them, and it seems like people don't want to read them. But biographies of successful people are amazing because it breaks down every single thing that could possibly go wrong and how all of these things go wrong, but they just keep going. And so if you keep going, you cannot lose because they cannot make you quit.
That is so good. That is awesome. I love the the pain that you had to go through. And I don't mean that in a weird way,
Nope.
but I think a lot of us who are watching this live stream, I mean, I just know them by name.
Yeah.
And my own journey, your journey. Don't you think coming from lack and coming from tough times actually made us stronger?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. It's funny because, you know, I'm surrounded by a lot of millionaires, multimillionaires, almost billionaires now. And sometimes I can see the disconnect. It's almost like they never went through a hard time or they totally forget. But even as we're going through this time, which for some people is really scary, and I'm just going to go off on a tangent there real fast. If you're feeling stressed, turn off all the news. Turn off your Facebook news feed. Like, take a break and only allow positive things into your head. I literally, yeah, I've turned off all the news for years now, and it's like changed my life. I only check when I intentionally need to look up something. But if you're feeling doom and gloom, like shut those things off. However, I look at like what we're going through right now, and even if our business cuts in half, 50%, I'm like, that still isn't as scary as having to take a bus to a blood plasma bank and, you know, not knowing where our next set of diapers was going to come from. I'm like, you can't scare me. No one can scare me because I've already played the worst case scenario game. And as long as there are fish in the lake and there is sun outside, so maybe I'd have to go to a different state than Minnesota.
Right.
The things are there. God has got me. And so I fear almost nothing, which is really crazy.
That is amazing. And you came to the conference. You spoke tremendously well. You gave a ton of value to people. I think you really earned a lot of people's attention, affection. You and I were supposed to connect. My dad and I were going to Minnesota to watch the NCAA wrestling, and you live in Minnesota, and they shut it all down. What adjustments have you had to make in your life? In your business? I love the fact that when I study kind of what you're about, you are who you are, you know who you are, and you don't play games to get into rooms and stuff like that. But just talk about your hustle style, kind of how you've had to shift your business and things.
Definitely. So I will say that there have been seasons of my life where I've chosen to hustle, but I don't teach people that the hustle is the way. I know for me that has been really helpful to do what it takes for seasons of my business. And I think that for me, that has been helpful during times. I've struggled through a lot of my life with anxiety and depression. And so there are seasons where some hustle can help me to actually avoid having too much downtime. And so I personally choose that. My style is very much so I am myself, no matter what. Like, even if it's like goofy, or sometimes people will be like, she's kind of unprofessional or whatever. That's okay. That's just who I am. I like to have fun. But my hustle style is I want to love what I'm doing. I don't like to do things that I don't enjoy. And so I'm looking for like clients that I love their business, even during this time. My hustle style is we've ramped up our free value production. So for example, I've been putting out let me rephrase that. I've been filming 5 YouTube videos per week, and we've been putting out 3 to 4 and just constantly cranking those out. I've been doing more trainings than ever before and doing more TikToks. I think in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to cross 200,000 followers on TikTok because I'm just having fun and letting joy show. That's my hustle style, is when I identify something I love, I want to do a lot more of it. So when I don't love something, I'm like, how fast can we get this off my plate? Because I don't enjoy this. I will say life has changed a little bit, but I have to say, truth be told, it's all first world problems. So I almost feel like I can't complain. I mean, yes, my hair has grown out, and so my roots are like ashy and some of my grays are starting to show, but
I know how you feel.
I love it. My nails are very natural, and like we aren't able to go to the gym, but I'm like, I legitimately cannot complain because you know what, as long as we have food and a roof over our head, all is well. I will say that this season has made me very, very respectful of the position that we are in. I say that because I do know that there will be some businesses who, not that they can't make it, they're going to give up. There are businesses that will give up in this season. And I'm like, that is not me. And I want to truthfully respect the struggles that we have been through and the struggles that some other people are going to choose to be in and grow more than ever right now. And I'm like, I don't want to take this time for granted. So we're ramping up production. We've got more offers going out than ever before. We're creating 1 lead magnet per week. We've got master classes every week. We've been working at a more diligent pace, I want to say, during this time.
That's cool. And we're going to move into a VIP session in a moment for everyone who's upgraded to VIP. 2 of the things I want to talk about in the VIP session. One, I saw you post recently and you said, don't stop selling. So we're going to talk about that. In fact, there's this little thing out there that says, oh, the virus is happening, so stop selling. You kind of have this other approach, and we're going to talk about why. So that's one thing. And then the second thing I want to talk about is the businesses that you think that aren't going to survive. And you said not because they couldn't, but because the people give up. There are people right now that are part of my high-end mastermind, that are part of my programs, who are watching this, and they might be inspired and said, you know what, it never got as bad as donating plasma, as going to the river to fish. But I want you to talk about, in the VIP group, what are some safeguards that you can put mentally? So one was turn off the news, but what else can you do mentally, physically, spiritually? I know you've done some running recently that allows people to make it through. So it allows those business owners to actually push through. Yeah. So Rachel, as we close this session, do you have your book near you?
I do, actually.
You got to get that, my friend, because again, whenever I'm around somebody, I'm like, you got to do your book, and you got to do it with Author Academy Elite. So it's called I'm the Boss, and I love it. Read the subtitle if you don't mind.
It is Reclaim Ownership of Your Life, Build Your Dreams, and Ditch Your 9-to-5. And I just have to say, you guys, that this book is small. And it's intentionally small because I believe so strongly that not everyone has time to read a super thick book. And so for me, the best decision was to get into their hands something that was small, powerful, and actionable. And so I got this into my people's hands, and they've even been buying them for family, and it's been really cool to see. So there's been a huge impact just from these books.
Awesome. And I don't know if you know this, but we put you on the Author Academy Elite homepage as one of the success stories. We just had Dan Sullivan, who's the #1 entrepreneur coach in the world. He also shared about how he turns the news off. But yeah, you, Amy Landino, Pat Luz, Dean Folks, we have all these people that, why did you choose the Author Academy Elite model? Because you are an influencer, and I think sometimes it fits the style more of like owning the content. Give us a quick rundown of why you did Author Academy Elite.
For sure. So there were several different reasons I went with Author Academy Elite. And one of them was I wanted to truly own all of my content. There are some weird and kind of like scary clauses with publishers where you can lose ownership to your IP. And since I do online courses, it didn't make sense for me to lose, I guess, ownership of these concepts that I created. I never wanted to lose that ownership. Ownership is big to me. So obviously I'm the boss. That was huge for me. It was also really helpful too, to know that I had someone walking me through the process. And Kary and your entire team, you guys were amazing through this process. What's so cool is, we've already sold several hundred copies without even pushing. I haven't even done like my big push yet.
Yeah.
Several hundred of these, and people lined up for, oh my gosh, I want to say 2 hours to get photos with me with the book and get them autographed. And it was this crazy experience. And it was a great first experience. I was nervous, and you guys really supported me with your program and everything. So it was so powerful. If anyone is considering Author Academy Elite, guys, it's the way to go, without a doubt.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, where can people find out more about you? Because, I don't follow a lot of people because I just don't think A lot of people have good stuff, but you're someone who I follow, and I'll tell you why. It's because you blend life and business well. In other words, you're not this fake person. You just are who you are. Where can people find out more about you? I know you also have social media training for people. Tell us a little bit more about you.
For sure. So the easiest place to find me is on my website. It's rachelpeterson.com, all E's and a D in my last name. And we link to everything there. We put out so much content. And I like that Kary said that we do blend together life and business. Like what you see on stage, what you see on videos, what you see in all of my content, you're going to notice, oh, this is the same person across. It's just different lenses according to the platform. So you'll see a lot of me, and I can't help but be myself. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, folks, we're going to jump over to the VIP group, and we're going to get those questions answered by Rachel. They're fantastic. Thanks for being here today, and thanks for the story of redemption and how even your faith in yourself, in God, got you through. So thank you so much.
Kary, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to go on over to VIP.
All right. We'll see you folks over there. Take care.